There are a lot of things that frustrate me when it comes to football, but one thing that sticks out more than the others is seeing an athlete that is so gifted with all the tangibles to be a great player, yet they lack the mentality and discipline to stay on the right path. Agiye Hall is a guy who, coming out of high school, was a 4-star recruit and the 5th ranked receiver in his class. But now, after being permanently dismissed from not 1 but 2 programs, it's hard to see a reality where he gets back on the right path in order to prove his worth. So as we take a deeper look at his journey, I think a lesson can be learned here that just having the physical attributes of a great athlete does not make you a great athlete. So let's get into it. So even before Agiye Hall was moving around to different colleges, he was moving around to different high schools. In fact, in the 4 years that Agiye was a high school student, he attended a crazy 5 high schools. Now, I don't know the reason for all this transferring and moving, but based on what we know now about the kid, it could be a mix between behavioral problems and playing time. So this is how his journey went. He attended summer workouts at Bloomingdale High School in 2017, but then headed to Durant High School before his freshman year started. After that, he transferred to Armwood High School and developed himself as a lethal deep threat there for 2 years. In 2 years, he had 1,468 yards and 17 touchdowns. Then in January of 2020, he transferred to IMG, where he stayed for less than 3 months. After that, he finished off his high school career by returning to Bloomingdale and played out his senior year there. So if I'm looking at all these transfers by Agiye as a college coach, I see a guy who isn't really loyal or committed to the aspect of the team, but rather values his own individual development so much that he so easily leaves school after school. I also see a guy who, when faced with just a taste of challenge or work to be done in order to see the field more, he just gives up and leaves. So that was definitely something to worry about as he was being recruited by all these schools, but there was no reason to believe that this would drastically affect him in college. So as I mentioned before, he was a 4-star recruit coming out of Bloomingdale and had 40 plus offers because, as you would imagine, a 6'3", 195-pound lethal deep threat would have every coach in the country going for him. Among all the schools that he received offers from, he decided to commit to the University of Alabama. Once he arrived in Tuscaloosa, he took no time to make a name for himself. The first opportunity that presented itself to him in order to get his name out there was the A-Day game, and the dude balled out. This is the game that I first saw this guy in as an Alabama fan, and I was super excited. The tools in this man's bag were on display for everyone, and for the first and only time we saw what could have been. The hands, the ball skills, the route running, the agility, the quickness, and the more I reminisce on how good this guy looked, the more frustrating it is to know that he might not play football again. So after the A-Day game, things didn't exactly go uphill for Agiye, because the spring game is just that, the spring game, a chance to get young, inexperienced guys on the field in order to make an early good impression on the coaches. So at the end of the day, even though Agiye played amazing in the spring game, he was still on the team with guys like Jameson Williams, John Mechie, and Slade Bolden. So when the season came around, Agiye barely saw the field, and he was visibly frustrated by this. During the 2021 season, he tweeted out his frustration after a blowout win against Mississippi State. The next week against Tennessee, he did not dress out. After that game, Nick Saban had this to say: "What we do with our players on our team is really kind of our business, and we're encouraging guys to do the right thing, whether it's personally or academically." He added to that by saying, "When guys miss so many things, they don't get to play in a game. That's always been a rule around here." So when he says miss so many things, I'm not sure if that means class or practice, but clearly he felt a type of way about not getting the playing time that he thought he deserved, and maybe this thing that he kept missing was his way of retaliating. I'm not sure if he thought this was just going to slide, but my guess is that the reason behind this is the emotions he was feeling about his playing time trumped what he knew was the right thing to do. And bro, some might think it's easy to accept the fact that you won't play in a game because you're a freshman, but it's sometimes harder to accept than you think. You got to remember that he is putting in the same amount of work, time, and energy into this sport as the starters, and to do all that just to stand on the sidelines for 3 hours every Saturday is a tough thing. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're waking up every day for morning workouts, then going to practice in the afternoon, and killing your body in the blistering heat for 2 hours just to wake up the next morning and do it all over again and continue doing that for an entire season. But that being said, there are thousands of guys all around the country who were or are in the same position as Agiye and, didn't miss class or practice like he probably did. But going back to his journey, he appeared in the New Mexico State game that year, and then in the 2 playoff games after both Jameson Williams and John Mechie went down with injury. At the conclusion of the season, he only appeared in 7 games and finished with 4 catches for 72 yards. It was the next spring that he was dismissed from Alabama's roster, yet there wasn't a specific reason given. Nick Saban said he is suspended from the team for violation of some team rules. Whether they're academic or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has a responsibility and obligation to respect the principles and values and do what they need to do. They're all there to help them be more successful. So to respect those and do those is always really helpful. And there is one part of that quote that I think is worth taking a closer look at, which is when he said they're all there to help them be more successful. Like, I feel that Ajayi took Nick Saban not giving him playing time personally, and I get being frustrated by that, but think about the guy that they would take out to put you in. Don't you think that he thinks he deserves more playing time? Or what about the other guys on the team buried on the depth chart? Did it ever occur to him that those guys are just as, if not more, desperate for playing time than he is? My theory is that Ajayi, because he had always been that guy in high school, felt that he was entitled to playing time immediately, and when he didn't see the field as much as he thought he would, his lack of mental discipline and determination was the catalyst behind the tweets, missing class or practice, and ultimately him getting dismissed from the team. A few days after he was dismissed from the team, he entered the transfer portal and decided to transfer to Texas. At Texas, he was supposed to be in the running for the third receiver spot behind Xavier Worthy and Jordan Winnington, but as we know, that did not pan out either. Somehow his time at Texas went worse than his time at Alabama. During that whole season, he only appeared in 3 games and had 1 catch for 7 yards. Now, something weird here, Bleacher Report put out the article that Ajayi was suspended indefinitely on August 12th, 2022, but the 3 games that he apparently appeared in were in September and October of that year. So I'll leave that up to the viewer to figure out, but the point is he was dismissed from the team due to criminal mischief charges that range from $100 to $750. Now, after being dismissed from not 1, but 2 major college football programs, I think that it's unlikely another big-time program will take this guy in, even with the physical attributes that he possesses. And dude, I'll reiterate it again that it's so hard to see a guy with all the tools to become a really great athlete not pan out due to his mental weakness. And look, I don't know what he could have been dealing with in his personal life or something like that, so don't think my objective here is to get on here and point out everything wrong with the guy. The aim of this video is not for me to come on here and bash this dude for not being a great receiver. I'm simply stating that it's unfortunate to see a 6'3", 195-pound, fast, strong, versatile athlete not putting his talent on display for everyone to see. I don't know what the future holds for Ajayi, but my hope is that he's able to get on the right path and show everyone what he's capable of. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, consider subscribing and sharing the video as that helps the channel to grow. Besides that, until next time.